What's up? It's Maiden. So I wanted to do my second video in the series going year by year, backwards from the year I graduated to the year I was born. And I did the 1992 video already, so I went ahead and pulled up the timeline for 1991, so I'm going to go ahead and record that one as well, just while I have the information all laid out in front of me. So the reason for my doing this video is 1992 was a very significant year. I graduated high school, and it was just a very tumultuous time, especially in the United States. Well, I mean, all around the world, from what we found out from the last video. So anyway, this time period really interests me, so I decided to start with 1992 and go backwards. So this is 1991. Let's find out what were the world events in 1991. I'm also doing a video about the music and movies, pop culture, that kind of thing. So that's going to be in a separate video. And I'm going to do each year at a time. So I'm already still working on the music and movies for 1992 because it's a lot. And that's like the main reason I even decided to start with that year. So yeah, we'll see how all that's going to play out. So let's go ahead and jump into 1991. Oh, I almost messed up my camera. I think I might have. Okay, anyway. All right, let's go. So as of beginning of the year, January 1st of 1991, the law criminalizing stalking goes into effect in California. The law was passed in 1990 following several high-profile murders. And you know what one of the catalysts to that was. If you're a true crime junkie, leave a comment below. But I think you know, because the key there was high-profile murders. So it was a law passed in 1990. It went into effect in 1991, January 1st of 1991 to be exact. So, and I'll give you a clue. Rebecca is the name of somebody involved in that. So anyway, all right, so let's see. I saw some other stuff on here. Okay, in Florida, again, true crime. A lot of true crime was going on in these 90s times, these early 90s. January 16th in Florida, Eileen Wuornos confesses to murdering 6 men. She claims the killings were self-defense. Okay, so that was in 1991. January 16th, America begins Operation Desert Storm as troops are deployed to Iraq. And a volcano Hekla erupts on Iceland, January 17th. January 17th, the British Royal Air Force joins the Gulf War as airstrikes are launched on Iraq. January 22nd, around 600 oil fields in Kuwait are set ablaze by Iraqi troops. These fires continue until April, when the final one is extinguished by Allied forces. A lot of this tumultuous upheaval stuff is going on well into 1982. Like, you'll see as you compare the videos. It's crazy. And as I was saying in the 1992 video, what we're going through now is nothing compared to what we've already been through in the 90s. I mean, it's extremely more talked about because of social media. But I mean, if we had had social media back then, just imagine it would just be a totally different world. I mean, I know the pandemic is on another level, but you know, everything else I'm talking about, like political stuff, all that stuff, my generation's already been through all that. It's like nothing compared to what we've already been through. Okay, January 27th, the New York Giants take on the Buffalo Bills at Tampa Stadium, Florida. Super Bowl 25 is a close victory for the Giants, who win 20-19. And let's see. A lot of plane crashes. February 1st, 1991, U.S. Air Flight 1493 collides with a smaller aircraft when it comes to land at LA International Airport. Small 19-seater plane had been taxiing off the runway, and a 737-300 crushed it before careening off the runway and catching fire. 35 people total are the dead that were reported, including all 12 aboard the crushed flight. Dang. Okay, that's so sad. February 1st, best-selling novel of the year, The Firm by John Grisham is published. February 5th, American physician Dr. Jack Kevorkian is banned from assisting in the euthanasia of his patients. Somebody always has to rev their engine back there on that road. I don't know what it is. So that was February 5th, Dr. Kevorkian. Okay, the IRA were in the news back then too, which is so strange to read. February 7th, 10 Downing Street is hit by a mortar attack during a cabinet meeting. The bombing was carried out by the Provisional Irish Republican Army, but thanks to bomb-proof windows, no politicians were hurt. Okay. February 14th, The Silence of the Lambs is released in the U.S. This film based on Thomas Harris' novel of the same name. Okay, that was 1991, February 14th. February 18th, London's attacked again by the IRA, as both Paddington Station and Victoria Station in London are bombed. The Paddington bomb causes no fatalities, but 1 person dies and 38 are injured in Victoria. I'd have to do a whole other separate video about the IRA and all of that. I'm Irish, so I have some significant things to say about that, but I'm not going to get into it in this video. Let's see. It's February 27th. President Bush orders a ceasefire in Iraq as Gulf War victory is declared. It's weird because I'm going backward in time, so I'm like trying to remember what the stuff was happening in 1992 with that. Well, Bill Clinton was getting elected, so that's part of it. Anyway, okay, keep going. Because I don't know how much storage this is going to allow me to record. I don't know if I'll get all the way to December if I go too slow. Okay, here we go. This is what I wanted to do this video. The reason I wanted to do this series of videos. One of the reasons, besides the music and the movies, I already said all that. Okay. March 3rd, 4 Los Angeles police officers are videoed repeatedly beating a black motorist, Rodney King. The amateur footage is sent to a local news station before being picked up by stations worldwide. So this was a major impact. Okay, just imagine being a teenager during this time. I know the teenagers now, what they're going through with like the school shootings and everything, but do you hear that? Like, it's so annoying. I mean, at least it's not that late, because usually they do this like very late at night. So yeah, so anyway, that was the kickoff to a lot of stuff. This started off like this whole series of events that would last like years, decades later. So that incident being caught on video was, because you got to remember, we didn't have cell phones with video back then. They were just being invented. Mobile phones were just being invented. So it really was a different time. Okay, withdrawing troops. Okay, some stuff. We're not going to go through that. Exxon, yeah, that was a big deal. March 13th, Exxon Shipping Company agrees to pay $1 billion for the cleanup of the oil spill in Alaska caused by their tanker Exxon Valdez in March of 1989. Okay, I never heard about this, but let's read it. March 13th, Canada and America signed the Acid Rain Treaty, agreeing to reduce air pollution caused by the two countries. It's weird that that happened on the same day that Exxon gets a settlement for $1 billion. I don't know. The timing of that is very interesting, peculiar. Okay, I gotta read these IRA updates because it's just so weird to have the IRA in the news. March 14th, a UK court determines that police fabricated evidence when convicting the Birmingham Six for taking part in IRA bombing incident. The 6 men are released after 6 years of imprisonment. Holy shit, you guys, March 14th of 1991. Okay, so if you've ever seen, and this is on my movie list that I'm gonna do. It's on my forehead. There's a movie, such a good movie, oh my god. It's called In the Name of the Father. And it's Daniel Day-Lewis in it. He's in it. He plays Jerry. Okay, I gotta look it up now. Jerry Conlon, who was the bomber, well, the suspected bomber or the leader of this IRA faction, supposedly. So anyway, it's a really good story. It's so heartbreaking, sad. I don't want to give it all away, but yeah, it's based on that incident. So it's just so weird to read this actual update in the news when knowing that there was a movie later, you know, in life made of this particular incident. Like a whole movie was made, but back then when this was, you know, when this was news, no one knew it was going to be a movie one day. Anyway, it's just cool to read about it. So yeah, that was the court determined that the police fabricated evidence so that they would be convicted. And that was, what people don't realize about those types of things when people are falsely falsely convicted. How did I get that word wrong? Falsely imprisoned, all of that, when they get released and then years later this gets looked into, it's like, it's good for all of us. It's not like it's just good because they, you know, Irish versus, you know, British court or whatever, but it extends and goes through all history, you know what I mean? Because here you have this, they're being released after 6 years imprisonment, and then you also have just a few weeks prior this incident with Rodney King here in the US where he's beaten on camera, and so you know what I mean, and it's like a race thing. But when you compare it to that, this incident is also happening in the same year that a group of so-called terrorists were found, that there was fabricated evidence against them. So it's like you have police coming up on the radar here a couple times. Police, government entities, you know, they're all involved. So it's like there's a picking apart. Things are starting to come at the seams, you know what I mean? Like, and obviously here we are in 2022, and this was like 91, 92, you know, these years that I'm examining. You know, I was just a young kid back then, and it's just like comparing this timeline and how things have progressed and how things have gone backwards, and you know, with the 1992 year, with the whole abortion stuff coming up, it's just very peculiar and interesting to take a look at as a narrative, as a society, you know, going back and going back in time and looking at this stuff. So cool. Anyway, all right, so March 15th, France, the UK, the US, and the Soviet Union relinquish all remaining rights from when they occupied Germany during World War II. Okay, there's some major stuff going on. March 25th, the Oscar for Best Picture is awarded to Dances with Wolves, starring Kevin Costner. I think I've only seen that movie once. It was fine. I don't really have anything else to say about it. It's not, I don't know how it won Best Picture, but you know, a lot of those things are like, what? But anyway, I guess because they spent a lot of money on it. I hate when they're long like this, but I'll just read it. March 28th in Sheffield. This has to be in England, right? In Sheffield, an inquisition into fatalities during the Hillsborough disaster in 1989 records a verdict of accidental death. Many families of the victims openly criticized the verdict in court, as many hoped for a verdict of unlawful killing and criminal charges to be brought against police who patrolled the match. Oh, that was like, I think a bunch of people got killed in a soccer game. Okay. I guess we'll find out when we get to 1999, right? This is cool. This is like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Maeve, Maiden's Excellent Adventure. Copyright. I'm Maeve Maiden, so there is no other me. Oh, what am I doing? Okay. April 4th, 7 people are killed when a helicopter collides with a private plane over Marion, Pennsylvania. Aboard the plane is Senator John Hines of Pennsylvania. I don't remember that. I guess it wasn't significant to me. So I'm not from Pennsylvania. Oh, here we go. What else do you think? Quiz for true crime people. What do you think was happening in the late 90s, or I'm sorry, early 90s? Still bleeding over from the 80s. Starts with an S. This could be a fun game. So April 4th, in the Orkney Islands, Scotland, 9 children are returned to their homes after being removed in February by social services on suspicion of satanic abuse. That's the answer. The claims are unfounded and the social services are heavily criticized for their handling of the situation. Wow, that was in Scotland. Damn, police were just fucking up back in these times, like just all over the place, even more than they are now. April 4th, in an electronics store in Sacramento, California, 41 people are taken hostage by 4 gunmen. The incident is the biggest hostage negotiation in the U.S., and 3 of the gunmen are killed along with 3 hostages. Do you know what would be that's so crazy that if something like this happened right now in this day and age? Because back then, like I said, nobody even had cameras to record stuff like this. Like, they just happened to catch the thing with Rodney King because somebody happened to have a video camera outside. It's not like you could just always have, like, cameras on you all the time. Like, nobody had cameras on them back then. It was, like, rare. So to actually catch something on camera was way, way crazier and harder to do. I mean, I know we can't imagine it now, but that's the reason why it's cool to look back at the history of our country and other countries, like just our history, human history. Okay, another senator. These politicians are getting killed a lot. Hold on. April 5th, former U.S. Senator John Towers killed in an airplane crash as his plane attempts to land at Brunswick Airport, Georgia. Aboard was also one of Towers' daughters, who dies along with 20 others. Do you hear that bird? Aww. How cute. It's just beautiful because it's raining and... I can't ignore it, sorry. I don't know if you can if the camera's if it's even picking it up, but anyway. 140 people were killed, this is April 10th. 140 people are killed when Italian ferry Moby Prince collides with an oil tanker in the coast of Livorno, Italy. The collision is caused by dense fog. 140 people? I never heard of that. I mean, again, I was a kid in high school. I just didn't pay attention to the news, I guess. And so it's crazy to look back at this stuff. April 10th, for the first time, weather satellites document a South Atlantic tropical cyclone in the southern hemisphere of the coast of Angola. April 14th, 20 paintings are stolen from the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. Within an hour, the paintings worth 500 million are found near the museum in an abandoned car. Within an hour? Wow. April 26th, across the central U.S., 55 tornadoes break out. The most powerful tornado strikes Andover, Kansas. 21 people are killed. Yeah, there was a lot of weather events in 1992 also, so it's kind of crazy. April 29th, in Bangladesh, 138,000 people are killed by a tropical cyclone. What? I'm trying to wrap my head around that, because what the fuck? $138,000 people? That's more than some little towns in the US have in the whole town. Damn, that's crazy. I do not remember that or recall that. That's crazy. Okay. Wow. Why isn't that talked about? Like, that is, we talk about the Titanic a lot. What the hell? That's 138,000 people. Okay, I'm just amazed at that. Okay. That's the reason why I'm glad I'm doing this, because it's like I'm finding out stuff I would never really have paid attention to or known. April 29th, in Russia, Georgia, 270 people are killed by an earthquake with a magnitude of 7. That's a lot, too. These are some crazy weather events that were happening. May of 1991, May 5th, in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood of D.C., a riot breaks out following the shooting of a handcuffed Salvadorian man by police. Around 400 youths battle with police for several hours. Police cars are torched with numerous shops looted. I do remember this because, I mean, it was like a cool thing to go to DC when we were younger. Like, that was like a big deal to go to, like, Baltimore was nothing because we were close to Baltimore, but like going to DC was like always a big deal. So I remember when my parents were like, oh yeah, you're not going, as long as you're not going near DC, just stay away from DC. So that was the catalyst to that. May 6th, in British soccer, Arsenal are announced as Football League champions, their second league title in 3 seasons. May 6th, Time magazine publishes an article highly criticizing Scientology under the title The Thriving Cult of Greed and Power. It's weird because these couple of years that I've chosen to highlight are very similar timeline, news stories and everything that are going on now, like in the world right now. Which is just, it's ironic, I guess. Okay, so France elects their first female prime minister, Edith Cresson. Queen Elizabeth II visits DC, becoming the first British monarch to address the United States Congress. I don't care about all these sports. It's always sports. In India, May 21st, former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi is assassinated by a suicide bomber. The explosion takes place at a public meeting in Sriperumbudur. 14 others, I know I didn't say that right, 14 others are killed in the explosion. Wow. May 22nd, the breakthrough of the North Rail tunnel between England and France occurs. The M20 motorway is also opened, meaning the unbroken motorway link with London has already been completed and estimated 3 years before the first trains move between The trains move between Britain and France. I do not know what I just read. I don't know. You get it. I mean, I don't know. June 3rd, 3 IRA gunmen in Northern Ireland are killed by the British Army. One of the men killed is Peter Ryan, who had been on the run for 10 years after escaping from prison in Belfast. There was a lot going on with IRA and stuff back then. And my cousin came over here from Northern Ireland during this time. They weren't joking, shit was going down back then. Because I remember they would talk about it like, well, you know, we can't go. It's not safe for us all to go there right now. It's just crazy that I'm actually reading it because I thought I had made some of that up in my head or something. Like I had dramatized it or, you know. Anyway, no, that it was really seriously going on. The shit was going down. Like, Belfast is where my family is from, so it's crazy to read about that. Okay, Mount Unzen? June 3rd, Mount Unzen erupts. The resulting pyroclastic flow kills 46 people. June 4th, the largest solar flare to ever be recorded, triggers an anomalously large aurora, which can be seen as far south as Pennsylvania. So they're saying we are having solar flares now, too. So much is just so similar to this time period. In South Africa, the laws that racially segregated places of residence and employment are repealed. Yeah, like I was saying in my 1992 video, I was trying to get to some of the racial stuff that was going on because that is what I remember a lot of, and I wanted to do videos about it because it's just a time period that we've gone through that I don't see a lot of people talk about, and it's like, you know, it's just good to pay homage to it. It's good to remember it. It's good to acknowledge that that's what it was like when we talk about, you know, the 90s. June 7th, over 200,000 people attend a parade in DC to celebrate the 8800 from the Persian Gulf War. The return, sorry. So them coming back. That's weird. June 10th, in Myers, California, 11-year-old J.C. Lee Duggard is kidnapped leaving school. That was major. Okay, she will not be found for 18 years. June 10th of 91. I was 16 years old. J.C. Lee Duggard was 11. Wow. June 13th. A spectator at the U.S. Open is struck by lightning and killed. Damn. My dad's a golfer. I think I remember that. Julianne Gibson's first female pilot, June 14th, British Royal Air Force qualified her as the first female pilot. June 14th, Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines erupts in the second largest terrestrial eruption of the 20th century. 800 people die as a result. That's a lot of people. 800 people. These were major events. It's just crazy that I you know, of all the years that I could have picked, these are major events that are going on. July 1st, 12 million customers are affected when a software bug affects telephone services in DC, Pittsburgh, LA, and San Francisco. A software bug affects this phone service. I mean, do you understand this means that, like, phone, like rotary phone, like we didn't have cell phones in 91, so there was no bug with the cell phone. It was the actual phone that you call somebody, you dial it up, the circle. No, just kidding. July 3rd, Michael Shorey, the boyfriend of EastEnders star Sandy Ratcliffe, is found guilty of murdering 2 women he lived with. Ratcliffe, who provided him with an alibi, is subsequently convicted of perjury. I remember watching EastEnders. I don't remember this though. Like, EastEnders was a big deal. My sister and I used to always want to watch that. We thought we were just so British. We thought we were so BBC. We're not PBS, we're BBC. We just thought we were European. Oh, okay. I'm gonna do this video. July. We're in July. July 8th, 2 IRA suspects seized their opportunity while leaving a Sunday church service to shoot their way out of Brixton Prison in London. Pierce Macaulay and Nassan Quinlivan then steal a prison officer's car before fleeing back to the Republic of Ireland. Sunday church service. They shot their way out of the prison. That's badass. I don't care, you know, like, I feel like about the IRA like I feel about the Black Panthers, right? I think they have a purpose. It's just you can choose to use your power for good or evil, and the IRA chose to use their, you know, for evil sometimes. I mean, I don't really know. I'm just saying, like, I can see the purpose of them. Like, sometimes force has to be met with force when it's gone too far. And I would have to do a lot more research to speak really fluently on that, but I'm just saying, you know, my quick synopsis on the IRA is that I feel like they genuinely serve a purpose, or they did, when in a time of you know, of divide that there needed to be some kind of regulation with that. There needed to be some karma dealt to Britain for the dirt that had been done to Ireland for all those years. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into all of that. I said I wasn't gonna get into it. Okay. Okay, so they shot out of the prison. I still think that's cool, and I don't know, there needs to be a movie about that. Whereas Boondock Saints, I would remake Boondock Saints and make it that story and make it better. Anyway, that's my next movie. I'm gonna write a movie, and that's gonna be it. July 11th, a total eclipse happens over the Pacific Ocean and can be seen over Hawaii, then South America. The moon blocks the sun for a total of 6 minutes, making it the longest duration of an eclipse on record. And that, again, it's like, it makes sense because of an eclipse. Eclipses are like major events throughout time. Like, it's always been like that, and I don't know. So anytime an eclipse actually happens and all of these other chaotic things are going on, it all makes sense because it's all related. If you believe in that sort of thing, which I do. So it's my video. I can say what I want. July 11th, Nigeria Airways Flight 2120 catches fire and crashes soon after taking off from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. All 261 people on board are killed. Wow. Horrible. I think I've seen that on Flight Channel too. They've done like every major plane event on their channel. It's pretty good. It's sad. It's really sad. I mean, don't watch it if you don't want to be sad. Mike Tyson, okay, July 22nd. And Mike Tyson, this is the beginning of his downfall during these times. Mike Tyson's arrested for the rape of Desiree Washington, a former Miss Black America contestant, 3 days earlier. Wow, I had forgotten about this. I think this was before he got with Robin Givens. Is that right? I don't know. I maybe we'll find out if we keep going back. July 22nd in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the remains of 11 men and boys are found in Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment by police. The serial killer goes on to confess to murdering 17 young men. This is so interesting doing it backwards. I think this is actually cool because it's like we're seeing the beginning of what we see and then the other one. Because in the other one, he's pleading insanity. This is when he was actually. This is when he's actually found out. Okay, cool though. This is cool. In July 25th, British astronomers discover a planet outside our solar system, a claim which they later retract. A lot of these space events are kind of different too, or like cool or whatever, interesting. In the state of Washington, Olympic Park suffers from effects of an oil spill from a Japanese fish processing vessel that sank July 22nd. A lot of oil going into the water. Oh God, all of this stuff has had an effect on all of us all of these years. Just imagine. This is the stuff we found out about. I don't know why I keep yawning. Sorry. In New York City, the Bank of Credit, July 29th. In New York City, the Bank of Credit and Commerce International, BCCI, is charged with the largest bank fraud in history. The bank was accused of defrauding depositors of $5 billion. So if we're seeing all of these trends, right, with the news, between like the weather events and the like political stuff and all of that, the eclipses, we can also learn from the past in regards to this bank stuff too, because this is coming out a little bit, like we're starting to see some of the behind the scenes stuff that's going on against us as a society. I'm just gonna say that. July 31st, America and the Soviet Union sign a treaty known as START 1, agreeing to limit the number of strategic nuclear weapons each nation owns. I should start talking like that, right? It will sound much more professional. That's not me though, so I can't really do that. I can pretend. August 4th, the 571 passengers aboard cruise liner MTS Oceanos are rescued by South African Air Force helicopters when it sinks off the coast of South Africa. The vessel had begun taking on seawater, and staff on deck abandoned the ship, neglecting to help passengers. Wow, they just were gonna ditch everybody? That's messed up. The first ever, this is cool. So this is the kind of stuff that I really wanted to find when I was doing this. August 6th, the first ever website, info.cern.ch, is created by Tim Berners-Lee. What? CERN. Isn't that CERN, CERN, info.cern.ch. Isn't that satellite thing? That's just weird. Don't lie. Isn't that weird? CERN. That was the first ever website? That's crazy. That is not a coincidence. No. I gotta come back to that. Star, flag, because I gotta do some research on that. That's crazy. I'll do a follow-up, whatever I find out, because that's crazy right there. That's conspiracy right there. August 6, 1991. info.cern.ch. Okay. Noted. August 8th, the Warsaw radio mast in Poland collapses. The tower remains the tallest structure ever built until the Burj Khalifa is completed in 2009. Okay. August 8th, British journalist John McCarthy is freed after being held hostage in Lebanon for over 5 years. And that girl, Brittany, whatever, thinks she's got it bad. He was held for 5 years. I'm not saying she doesn't have it bad. I'm just saying, like, this guy was in Lebanon for 5 years. She's been in Russia for, what, a couple months? Okay. August 17th of 1991. Oh, wow. This is today's date, August 17th. In a shopping center in Strathfield, Sydney, Australia, a taxi driver kills 7 people and injures 6 others before shooting himself. I think there's a movie based on that. Maybe I'm making that up. August 18th, Hurricane Bob hits the American East Coast and 17 people are killed. 1.5 billion in damages caused by in North Carolina and New England. Wow. Okay. August 19th, when he holidays in Crimea, Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev is placed under house arrest. His imprisonment is ordered by Vice President Gennady Yanayev, who led an attempted coup which lasts less than 72 hours. All right, I could have just stopped at the he's placed under house arrest, right? I don't know. August 23rd, Super Nintendo is released in the United States with a price tag of $200. Super Nintendo. That's the kind of stuff I live for, to see that, and the like technology stuff. August 29th, John F. Kennedy Jr. wins his first battle as an attorney. Oh, that's right, he was an attorney. I don't care about the Olympics. They could just do one without the Olympics and the sports. There probably is one. I just went for the first timeline I could find. Okay. Another event in the 1991 timeline of the breakdown of the Soviet Union. So this is September 2nd. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are recognized by America as independent, and the U.S. government reopens its embassies there. September 3rd, 25 people are killed in Hamlet, North Carolina, in a grease fire at the Imperial Foods chicken processing plant. Oh, a grease fire. Okay. September 6th, St. Petersburg becomes the new name of Russian city Leningrad. Oh. That's weird. I do remember Leningrad. September 9th, following the recent death of 2 teenagers during a police pursuit, riots take place across the Meadowell Council estate on Tyneside, England. Many Asian-owned shops are hit by looting and arson attacks. See, that's just proof right there that they just pin us against each other in society. I mean, even in England, it's like, oh, you gotta beef with somebody, so, you know, don't you want to beef against these people because they have different culture? Like, it just doesn't make any sense, like, holistically. Stupid. Anyway, so those riots and type things, that was jumping off right around all this eclipse stuff. So that's why astrology is real, very real, I believe. It has a lot to do with all of this type of stuff, all the weather events, all the hostility. I mean, all of this is so much hostility, all about war. And I mean, little tiny little tidbits of fun they put in there. It's like we see a little thing like, oh, Super Nintendo was released. Oh, back to, you know, Olympics, you know, police brutality, fighting, you know, rape, murder. It's like politicians getting killed and, you know, all this stuff was going on. But the underlying, that's why it was just such a crazy time to be a teenager. Nothing would really compare to being a teenager like in the Vietnam time, you know, like my parents. Like, that was just a really epic time to be a teenager. But I just mean, like, with all this hostility, like, we had to create, like, no wonder punk rock became something in the 80s, you know, because of all of the stuff that was going on. And then those same people that were, like, in their 20s or whatever, they have kids in, you know, the late 70s, and then those kids become, like, punk rockers because they had all this angst, stuff going on. And I mean, there was just such a movement of hostility, and it played out in every arena back then. Okay, anyway, I'll get into that with movies and music, but it just reminded me of that with hearing that, there was that going on, the riots and the police involving that, and, everything that's to come with what we already saw with the Rodney King incident. That was just the kickoff to a lot of this racial back and forth and all of that. It got very tense, and I mean, in many different ways. Anyway, okay, September 19th, a mummified body is found on the Italian Alps named Otzi the Iceman. They still talk about this to this day, this guy. The body is thought to be from between 3400 and 3100 BC. Yeah, I've seen quite a few videos about that even now. So that must have been pretty major event, science-wise, history, whatever. September 20th, 2 nurses and several patients are held hostage at Alta View Hospital in Sandy, Utah. Richard Worthington, the husband of a former patient, kills one nurse for trying to wrestle his shotgun from him. The incident lasts 18 hours before Worthington eventually surrenders to police. I remember this because I think they recreated it on either the John Walsh thing or one of those type of shows, because I believe I remember seeing this reenacted or something somewhere. I think it might have even been I Survived. I think it might have been I Survived, because the nurses, one of the nurses or something, I don't know. Anyway, I've seen that story recreated. So I'm remembering that. September 22nd, one of the famous events in 1991 for scholars, the Huntington Library in California makes the ancient manuscripts known as the Dead Sea Scrolls available to the general public for the first time. Huh. Okay. Some of these are more interesting than others. Okay, obviously. And I'm getting to where I'm reading a lot of them that are not that interesting. Sorry if you're getting bored. September 24th, Nevermind is released by Nirvana and goes on to sell 11 million copies in the United States alone. Yeah, that's pretty major. September 24th of 91. Yeah. I don't know if I bought that outright or what. I don't remember. It wasn't, I wasn't that much into them. I was more into Smashing Pumpkins, for sure. So I was a Smashing Pumpkins girl. I was not a Nirvana girl. They were cool. Don't get me wrong. I liked them, but I preferred Smashing Pumpkins. And I still do. September 30th, in southeastern Brazil, the city of Itu is hit by a tornado, killing 16 and leaving more than 176 injured. Okay. October, let's see. We're going to keep going. October 3rd, Nadine Gordimer, South African writer and political activist, is awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. Gordimer's work was once suppressed due to its criticism of apartheid. How can that be? How can that be, right? That's all I'm going to say. October 6th, on the 50th anniversary of the Baba Yar massacres, where over 33,500 Jews were killed, President Gorbachev releases a statement condemning anti-Semitism in the Soviet Union. Okay. That's should have been done anyway. I mean, why do you have to release a statement? You should just automatically, I don't know, common sense. In New Jersey, USA, Joseph Harris kills 4 people, 3 of whom are his former colleagues in the U.S. Postal Service. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Harris, this October 10th incident where the colleagues were killed, that's when people say going postal, that's where it came from. that incident. I remember that. They even did something similar on 6 Feet Under, like a similar episode. Okay, October 15th, Bryan Adams single, Everything I Do It For You. Everything I do it for you. There you go. Enters its 15th successive week at number 1 in the UK singles charts, setting a world record. Wow. October 16th, in the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history, George Hennard shoots 23 people in a cafeteria in Killeen, Texas. Hennard brings a shootout with police before shooting himself. What a piece of shit. Oh, God, I remember watching news reports about that. I do remember that. Oh, how it was rough. But was it a McDonald's or like I think it was a Burger King or a McDonald's. I really don't know. Wendy's? I don't know. I'm not going to look it up, though. It said that was the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history until 2007. Oh, yeah, 2007 was... I don't know. Anyway, it was one of those other events. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know the details at the second. Okay, October 20th, a wildfire devastates Oakland Hills in California, destroying 3,469 homes and killing 25 people. And again, these are the same wildfires that go on right now. We've lived this far through them, so this is proof that we've been through all of these events before. We are capable enough to, manage through them. So don't talk about the end of the world, because of, all this crazy stuff. It could be, but it's not. And all of these events are things we've been through before. Jesse Turner, October 21st. Jesse Turner, a math professor who was kidnapped in 1987, is finally freed from his Lebanese kidnappers. These Lebanese people are just holding these people hostage. God, I don't mean to laugh, but it's just like, what? What was really going on? October 28th, caused by an unnamed hurricane and a combination of high and low pressure fronts, the perfect storm strikes the United States, causing over $200 million of damage and killing 12 people. Wow. That was October 28th. Okay. October 29th, the NASA's Galileo spacecraft becomes the first probe to visit an asteroid when it approaches asteroid 951 Gaspra. November 1st, former alumni of Iowa University gang loose, shoots and kills 3 members of faculty and 1 student before committing suicide. Jeez. See, there were a lot of shootings going on back then, too. And people act like this is the most shootings we've ever had. No, there were a lot still going on back during these times. It's been going on way too long. I'm not speaking on that either. I'll do other videos. I'm not doing commentary in this video. I'm just listing historical facts with some side notes. November 5th, Robert Maxwell, British media mogul, is found dead off the coast of Tenerife. His cause of death is unconfirmed, but reports suggest he's committed suicide. November 6th, the KGB officially stops all its operations. November 7th, Magic Johnson reveals he's HIV positive. The Los Angeles Lakers point guard includes in his public announcement that he will retire immediately. It's weird. And the social stigma that was with that was crazy. November 14th. Following investigations by the FBI and British authorities, arrest warrants are issued against 2 Libyan nationals for their connection to the Lockerbie bombing. November 14th, after being fired for insubordination, postal worker Thomas McIlvaine goes on a shooting rampage in Royal Oak, Michigan. 4 people are killed and 5 wounded before McIlvaine commits suicide. Again, going postal. That's where the term comes from. So it was more than just that other incident. It's because it happened more than once. And that's where it came from, I guess. So what I said previously may not have been correct. It's from probably both of these combined. Well, I don't know if those were the only ones, but anyway, November 16th, St. Albans, Hertfordshire. I'm trying, but let's just say Hertfordshire is bombed by the IRA. The bomb was due to detonate to coincide with crowds leaving a concert in the Alban Arena, but explodes prematurely, killing the 2 IRA members planting it. Whoops. That's crazy. I mean, it's good because their mission wasn't accomplished and they got instant karma. November 22nd, Disney releases Beauty and the Beast. The film goes on to become the first animated film ever nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. November 24th, one day after announcing he's suffering from AIDS, Queen's lead singer Freddie Mercury dies. Oh, damn. November 24th, 1991. November 30th, the final of the first ever FIFA Women's Soccer World Cup takes place in China. Norway is defeated by the United States 1-2. Takes place in China, period. Norway is defeated by the United States. I should have read it like that, sorry. December 1st, the Ukraine votes to become independent from the Soviet Union. See, Ukraine is in the news all the way back in 1991. It's crazy because I never paid attention. And now that I know I've got Ukrainian descent, I have to find out more about my ancestors' country. Another kidnapped journalist released December 4th. December 4th also, after a failed deal to save the company from complete bankruptcy, Pan American World Airways ceases all operations. A fire captain investigator, Glendale, California, John Leonard Orr is arrested. Orr is charged with arson, is thought to have set up to 2,000 fires. One of his fires result in the deaths of 4 people. That's the movie Backdraft is based off of that story. Yeah, it's crazy to see these were real events that actually happened. Like In the Name of the Father that I mentioned. That movie was based on a true story. This one, okay. December 12th, homosexuality is no longer a criminal offense in the Ukraine. It's the first post-Soviet republic to do so. Oh, that's cool. Cool fact. December 15th, in the Red Sea, Egyptian ferry, the Salem Express, strikes reef off the Egyptian coast. The ship sinks within minutes, killing everyone on board. That's unfortunate. Okay, keep going. We're almost there. Oh, yeah, we're almost there because this is December. I don't know what that is. December 23rd, 16 years after its first release, Bohemian Rhapsody returns to the top of the British charts. All proceeds are donated to HIV charity, the Terrence Higgins Trust. Oh, that's cool that they did that. Bohemian Rhapsody. I was thinking it's the movie. It's the actual record. Oh, okay. 16 years after its release, it returns to the top. Yeah, people started playing it again. And I think that was when Wayne's World came out. I think. Because remember, they played it in Wayne's World. That's cool to remember. December 25th, the Soviet flag is lowered over the Kremlin for the final time. The hammer and sickle is replaced by Russia's tricolor flag, marking the end of the Soviet Union. Mikhail Gorbachev resigns, leaving Boris Yeltsin as president of independent Russia. Russia. You like that? Okay. So what did you guys think of this? Oh, it does say, look, going postal, quote unquote, going postal. then the number of people employed by the United States Postal Service is less than 1% of the American population. The number of mass shootings carried out by postal workers is abnormally high in comparison. 1991 saw 2 incidents of ex-postal workers engaging in killing sprees after being fired from their jobs, adding further meaning to the slang going postal. There you have it. And this is from historicnewspapers.com, in case you're wondering where I got my information. But I can verify just off of the top of my noggin, because I remember most of these things. But anyway, let me know what you think of the video, and I will continue to go backwards in time because I like it that way. So we did 1992, 1991, I'll do 1990 and keep going. I'm gonna go all the way to 1974 because that's when I was born, and I don't really care about what happened before I was born or what happens after I die. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe I'll go back farther. It's kind of fun to do this, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna stop at 1974 and then I'll maybe come up with some other idea, because I don't know when would I stop then? Just keep going. I mean, forever, to whenever time was created. I don't know. Anyway, so let me know, what did you think of 1991? Would you have wanted to live back then? Did you live back then? What was your favorite memory of that time period? Yeah, all those kinds of things. I already mentioned the year 1992 really sucked ass for me because I lost my best friend and I did graduate high school, but that was not as exciting as I thought it was going to be. 1991, I just don't really remember a whole lot about it. I can tell you that I will remember when I start going through the music and movies, because that's where I'm really going to have fun with this. So, I'm going to talk about all the movies that I remember and ones that were my favorite, and also like the music that I was listening to at the time. And I've already talked about, Smashing Pumpkins, obviously, so that's going to be a majority of it right there. But yeah, so tell me what you thought. Tell me what you thought about 1991, and also if you can think of anything that happened to you during that time or anything like that. Whatever you want to share, I'm open to it. But in the meantime, I will see you next time in 1990. We are going back in our time machine. Yes, that's why I got this glove. Like, I love this glove. Like, I was looking for, I have 2 of them, but I just cannot find the other ones. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna be like Madonna and wear my one glove. But yeah, I cannot wait. There's so much fun stuff I'm gonna do in my other videos about the movies and stuff. It's gonna be fun. Okay, so I will check you then, but I hope you have a beautiful night, day, whatever it is. It's actually nighttime here now, but I will talk to you soon. Take care.